everybody. Hard to believe it, but it's time to vote. Welcome in, everybody. It's our 30 Minutes program here on WCMT and Star 95.1. And with me today is Alex Britt, and he is a very, very good administrator of the Weakley County community, saving everything he possibly can to make sure that he messages what you need to know today. Alex, thanks very much for coming in. How long have you been down? It's been quite a time here.
Yes, I've been administrator for just over 10 years now. So it seems like just yesterday that we were doing our very first one of these.
You know, it's hard for me to believe that you have been through many elections already. How many have you?
Well, if you think about it, in Weakley County, we're lucky enough to only have elections in the even-numbered years, and each of those we have three. So we've been through, this will be the fourth election cycle that we've been through. So we had those 16 elections, that first presidential election that I got to experience, and then we've been through several different levels. We've been through a couple of governor's elections, 2 presidential elections. We've elected judges and all kinds of county mayors and county commissioners. It's been through the whole gamut. So, but just like was talking to another one of our county officials this morning, there's always something new that you're experiencing for the very first time. Our legislature, even now as we're recording this today, they're in session trying to wrap up this legislative session this year, and they never fail to change something that has to do with election law. So we always have something, and I'll always get to experience something new. It's never a dull day.
I haven't ever asked you to do this, but I know that you will. You have colleagues in Obion County, Carroll County, Gibson County, and others. Would you mind just taking a moment and identify those folks who work as hard as you do, I'm sure?
Yeah, you're definitely putting me on the spot here. So we've got our neighbor in Obion County, Lee Slager. She's an excellent administrator. She's been doing this for a little bit longer than me. I can't remember exactly when she came in. I think 2008 is when Lee came in. And then if you go east, you've got Henry County, you've got Delana Green. She was working in the office before she came administrator, but she and I actually came in at the same time. So we did our testing and everything all at the same time, got certified on the same day there in Henry County. You've got Peg Hamlin in Carroll County. I believe she came in just a few months before I did in 2015, maybe in 14. I'm not sure exactly. And then what seems like brand new, but she's been doing this for a little bit, Emily Brown down in Gibson County. I think she's probably in her probably third or fourth year now. It's hard to keep up with some of that, but we've got some great administrators that border us here in Weakley County.
Alex, what's changed in your 10 years?
Oh, I think we'd need more than 30 minutes, and I'd need a bunch of notes to be able to go through that. But definitely things that have changed here for us particular in Weakley County. 2018, we added a new voting system. We updated our voting system. Stayed with the same company, but we updated our voting system. We went to electronic poll books in 2018, where on election day you're not checking in, signing in to a paper sign-in book. So we did those updates. When you move forward to 2020, we added the satellite early voting at the Martin location. So not only do you have the Dresden office for election office for early voting, but we added that satellite early voting. Of course, when the Election Commission made the decision to add that in 2019, we had no idea how big of a deal it was going to be in 2020 coming into the COVID elections. But it was a huge help that added a lot of relief for our voters to feel like they could vote safely and smoothly. We had where you were seeing news stories and videos of people standing in really long lines. We voted more people than counties around us. Oftentimes, but we didn't have lines because of that satellite early voting. So that was great. Moving forward into 2022, we implemented the next next step of our plan, and we implemented convenient voting centers where any voter in Weakley County on election day can go to any of those locations. You're no longer tied to your specific polling place on election day. That was something that our election commission back in 2018, when it very first started coming around, we said that's something we wanted to work toward, and we did that. We were lucky enough to be the first county in West Tennessee to implement that, and at the time when we did that in 22, we were the smallest county in the state. Henry County followed us in 2024 and implemented convenient vote centers as well, so they were the second West Tennessee, and they're slightly smaller than Weakley County is in population, so we get to brag a little bit about that. But so those are some of the things that we've done for voting as far as Weakley County goes.
Let me take a moment and let you identify the folks that you respond to, and we're talking about the Election Commission members.
Yeah, so we've got 5 members of the Election Commission. Our chairman is Ricka McDonald. Ricka has a lot of experience in elections. She was actually working in the office as the deputy administrator of elections whenever I came in. She served with my predecessor, Miss Barbara Castleman. So she's long time and a lot of experience in elections. She's our current chairman. Our secretary is Rachel Lovell. She's been on there for a few years now, and before serving on the election commission, she actually served as an election official, as a counting board member that counts the absentee ballots. And then you've got Keith Davis. He's been on there for a couple of years. Kelly Swearingen, again, another person that served as an election official, was on the counting board for many years. Even before I came in, he was serving on the counting board, so he's got a lot of experience with elections. And then you've got a name that many people here in Weakley County know, Linda Ramsey, long time, a lot of experience in the political realm, dealing with elections for many, many years on the party level. But she's been working with our election commission too as a member of the election commission. So that's our 5 members.
Alex Britt is with us. We're talking about the next election, which is coming up here before long. When is the election taking place?
We've got our county primary that's happening on May the 5th. It's a Tuesday.
Let me stop with you and ask you, is it across the state the same day?
Yeah, so not every county at this point has a county primary. So there are some counties that still go by a caucus. There are some counties that their county parties choose not to elect county officials partisan, so everybody runs as an independent. So there are a few that don't have county primaries. There are a few counties that are grandfathered in that don't have to have county primaries. But back last year, again, we were talking about the legislature earlier. The legislature mandated that counties that are going to select partisan candidates must have county primaries. And so that kind of has more counties on board with doing the county primaries. But there, like I said, there's a few that are grandfathered in that won't be having county primaries, and there are some counties that they just don't have partisan elections. They're all independent.
Not going to go too deep on this, but you do have help every day to work with all of the people that call, particularly when you have an election coming up, but your staff is? Yeah,
so Angela Fortner is my deputy administrator. She actually came in with me part-time when I first became administrator back in 2015, took a little break, and then she was working for WeCare for a little bit, and then when Miss Ricka McDonald, that's now our election commission chairman, when she retired, Angela came in back into the office. Now I've got a few part-time people that work in the office. Christy Dickinson has been with me. This will be her second election cycle to be going through. Just the end of last year, we hired Sierra Kirk. She's come in as a part-time employee. And then Autumn Smith, she comes in around election times and helps us. She had worked part-time for a little bit, but now she just comes in around election times as temporary. So these 4 ladies, help me get everything done, especially Angela. She's my right hand, as her title would indicate, being able to get these things done. So I've got some great ladies that work with me.
Let me see if I understand this. When election day comes, there's a lot of people working.
Mm-hmm.
And what do they do?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different ways to serve as an election official. We've talked about it, referenced it here with a couple of our current election commissioners. They served on what's called the Absentee Counting Board. So it's made up of 4 members. There's 2 Republicans and 2 Democrats. And they go through the process, or they go through and process all of our by-mail ballots that come in, all of our paper ballots that come in from the nursing home. So we do nursing home voting. So all of those are paper. And then if we have any provisional ballots, those 4 people are the ones responsible for processing those. Then when you're looking at pre-election, we've got 2 machine technicians, 1 Republican, 1 Democrat, and they go through the process of what we call programming the election equipment. And so once an election is built, they take that and get it onto the voting equipment that the voters actually touch. And then they, together, they go through all of the processes of logistics and accuracy testing to make sure everything's working properly and producing the proper results. And they go through and get everything security sealed and locked up and go through all of that process. So those 2 gentlemen that we have doing that. And then when you get to the polling places, you've got several different workers that are there. First, you've got an officer of elections. So every polling place has 1 officer of elections, and that person is just in charge of the operations at that particular polling location. You have registrars. Those are folks that are, when you come in, they're the ones that are asking you for your photo ID. They're checking you in, making sure everything's right, having you fill out your application. And then we have machine operators that are there just to assist you, answer any questions, and facilitate that process. And it's always a machine operator that, when you get done, is giving you that I voted sticker as you walk out the door. So there's a lot of folks for this particular election here in May. I believe, just off the top of my head, I think we have, across those groups that we just mentioned, 55 election officials that'll be working this May election. As we get into August, we'll add a few more, and then as we get to the November election, we'll have a few more.
Let me back up for just a second, or do a flip-flop if you don't mind. So what time does the voting begin on election day?
On election day, yes. So on election day, the polls open at 8 a.m., and then they close at 7 p.m. And that 7 p.m. is for the central time zone across the state. It's a state mandated time for the polls to close. There is some lenience on when to open. Some counties that are around us may be opening earlier. Some counties around us may be opening later. So between the hours of 7 and 9 is when the state law says you have to open. And so Weakley County, we open the polls at 8 a.m.
Yeah, and that's very helpful, obviously, for people that go to work, may have to go out of town, go to the doctor's office and so forth. So those are all good things that I think that the Election Commission mandates. Let me go to a couple of how do you get to be someone to work at the poll, and how much do they get paid?
Well, those are 2 very good questions. We're always looking for good people to serve as election officials. So mostly you just need to ask about it. The Secretary of State's website, if you visit govotn.gov, you can go on there. There's a section where you can sign up to be an election official. If you go sign up there, it sends our office an email. If we're in pretty busy times, sometimes it may be a little bit before we're able to get to some of those. But mostly you're just going to contact the office and say, hey, that's something I'd be interested in doing. All election officials, they're not selected by me. They're not selected by our office. Our election officials are appointed by those 5 commissioners that I mentioned earlier. So if you know one of those 5 commissioners, let them know. If you're affiliated with the Republican or Democrat Party, let your party officials know, hey, that's something that I'd like to be part of, and they will get your name and information to our office. it's a lot better if you're recommended by, one of these, rather than, because if you come in, a lot of times we don't really know who you are. We'll try to, interview as best we can. But if you're able to get recommended by one of those, and then as far as compensation goes, when we do have an early voting period, which we'll be talking about a little bit later about this particular election, but when we have an early voting period, if you work one of those days early, in the spring and summer elections, you get paid $85 per day when you serve, and then on election day, you get $100 a day. And then for our November elections, when you work early, you get $100 a day for an early voting day, and then $120 for election day.
Who sets the money?
Again, that's the Election Commission. They set those rates. I took those changes to them a couple of years ago, saying, hey, in those November elections, clearly you're there when we pull in the numbers and we see how many people vote. You're working a lot harder. So we wanted to pay a little bit more to our election officials whenever we've got more volume coming through those polling places. And we need to attract more people to come out and serve. And so paying a little bit more is a little bit more attractive. There's a lot of folks, though, that come in and say, hey, I want to work. And when you get to the point where you're saying, hey, you need to contact the finance office to get set up. Oh, I get paid for that. That's a pleasant surprise. But yes, the statute does say you shall be compensated. Just a few years ago, the legislature did pass where you can donate your service, not money wise, but like you're serving on behalf of an organization and volunteer your hours for that.
I haven't asked this question and never thought about it until just a moment ago. If you have been in trouble with the law, can you serve?
You've got to be registered to vote, number one. So if you have been convicted of a felony and you've lost your rights to register to vote, then no. There is a process by which you can go through the court system and have your citizenship rights restored, and then that would restore your ability to come in and register to vote at that point. So if you're a registered voter, the answer is you can work. If you have some sort of crime that's qualified as a felony that prohibits you from registering to vote, then the answer would be no.
Can you tell me how many people are ready to go to vote?
Right now, just off the top of my head, we have just over about 18,500 registered voters in Weakley County. Our population, again, of course, the whole population is about 33,000 residents for Weakley County. That includes minor children that aren't eligible as well. But right now, we've got about 18,500 registered voters.
Do you expect any more than that?
Well, as we get closer to the November elections, more people will start registering to vote, so that number will increase. But we're all the time adding and removing voters from that. Like if somebody moves to a different county, we get that notification, so we're removing them from our system. So we're constantly adding and removing voters on our system. But since I've been here, it's been pretty steady in that 18,000 range of registered voters.
How safe is it to know that the ballot that I or you or anyone else that has gone into the slot, and the question is, how do I know that it's going to be there for that candidate?
Yeah, very good question. So some of the things that I pointed out earlier with our machine technicians and the processes that we go through with our logistics and accuracy testing to make sure everything's operating properly. But that is a big question that people want to know.
How safe is it?
Yeah, and how safe is voting? Well, I can point you to the fact that the state of Tennessee for the last 4 years in a row, since they started measuring it, has ranked number one in the nation for election integrity. And what our Secretary of State Hargett always says is we want to make it easy to vote and hard to cheat. And that's something that our administrators across the state, our state election officials, our legislature has given us good laws to put into place. We've got good policies and procedures that we've got in place to where in the state of Tennessee, you can know that what you're going in and doing is how it's being recorded. You know that we're keeping good, clean voter rolls so that only eligible people are voting. But again, we're number one in the nation for a reason, and it's been that way consistently. And I think other states look at Tennessee and say, "Hey, what are you doing?" And let us do some of the things that you're doing. But we've been the example, so you can be highly confident that Tennessee has good election integrity.
I'll pause on my end of it for this. For Alex Britt, he's the administrator of the Weakley County Election Commission. You brought in a couple of documents that you want them to hear about them or about something pertaining to messages that need to be told.
Yeah, so this election is got something a little odd that nobody's ever experienced before, and here in Weakley County, and it's the fact that we're not going to have an early voting period for this May primary, county primary. It's the only election this year that this will even apply to. But since there are no contested races in the primaries, either the Republican or the Democratic primary, there are no certified write-in candidates that cause any contested races. The statute says that there shall not be an early voting period. So I can read you a little bit from the statute. This is, if anybody wants to look it up to do a reference, this is in 26103 or 102, excuse me. So 26102 is Tennessee Code Annotate, Section B, and this is just in part a piece of it. It says if there is no opposition for any of the offices involved, including write-in candidates, there shall not be early voting. Shall not be an early voting period. So I've had some questions about, what led to the decision to not having early voting. Well, it wasn't a decision. This is what the law is that we don't have any contested primary races, and so there shall not be an early voting period. This is this statute was changed in 2018 as a cost-saving measure for struggling counties. Counties have been struggling financially for a while, and so the legislature said, hey, why would we force counties to pay for an early voting period if there are no contested races? And so they changed this statute in 2018. It was in the time period, actually, the date that this passed in the legislature, they were in the middle of an early voting period for that May 2018 county primary. And then when you move forward to the next opportunity, 2022, the state judicial primaries were attached to the county primary, so it didn't apply then. And so this is the very first time that this statute is able to apply, and it's actually affecting about a dozen counties across the state.
Okay, there's nobody running against anybody. Is that the way you can look at it?
Yeah, so everybody that is seeking their party's nomination at this point in the county primaries will be selected. And so elected is not the correct word. They will receive their party's nomination coming out of this, and then they will go through to the August county general election. So everybody that's seeking office as a Republican candidate will secure their party's nomination coming out of this May primary. The candidates that are seeking the Democrat Party's nomination will secure the Democrat Party nomination and go through to the August general election. And then again, at that point, you will see all of the Republican candidates, all of the Democratic candidates, and all of the independent candidates will be appearing on that county general election ballot.
Okay, so when the election day comes, and we're talking about the general election, what do you have?
You're talking about in August when we get to that county general election. So we will be electing our county mayor, and then all 18 county commission positions will be on the ballot. Then you will have the sheriff, road supervisor will be on the ballot, that office. Your courthouse positions, you will have your trustee, county clerk, county court clerk, register of deeds. Nope, I think that's it for those positions in the courthouse.
And only one in the courthouse, so to speak, is not up for election.
That is correct. That would be the assessor of properties, and they are handled by a different statute that has them on a different election cycle, and they run in the presidential election year here in Weakley County.
we've had some really, really close votes. And so make no doubt about it. Weakley County has been known to have, what's the closest you have seen, if you recall? And I'm not asking you for names.
No, just looking back, I remember looking at a county primary, what we're dealing with right now, a county primary election where it was a contested primary. When we had the early voting numbers come in, there were 3 candidates running for 2 positions. When we had the early voting numbers come in, one of the candidates was leading by one vote, and then the election day came in, and then that candidate that was leading at early voting ended up losing by 5 votes or so. And so, securing the party's nomination in that, is really close. So every vote counts. Don't ever think it's not important to show up and vote and let your voice be heard.
What happens if there is a tie?
You know what? I would have to go to the statute and have to look to see how the statute handles that.
We had I got to go back to this for one second, but constables, I'm not going to tell you which one it is. We had 2 constables and they tied.
Yeah.
And that was one that I remember. And in the superintendent's office, I think it was a total of 6 votes between 1 and 2. And I mean, this goes back to what, if you really care about your candidate, you need to make sure that you mark your vote. You
definitely need to show up and vote. That's these candidates, the folks that are putting themselves out there to serve. It's an important thing for people to come up and for you to let your voice be heard. But as far as if there's a tie vote, I hope that never happens. I've never really had to contemplate that, but I have the book right here in front of me that would address that, and I would definitely go to the statutes and see what that says, and we would make sure that we're implementing the law, because that's what we're here to do.
When's the office open and closed? The administration office.
Yes, so the Election Commission office normal business hours are Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Mm-hmm. And if you're coming to vote, what do you need to bring?
When you come to vote on Election Day, of course, remember it's May the 5th. We're convenient vote centers, so you can go to any of our polling places across the county to vote on Election Day. It doesn't matter where you're at, go to that one, but you need to bring your photo ID with you when you come to vote. Hopefully everybody has received your sample ballot in the mail by the time this is airing. Hopefully you've gotten that in the mail. You can see all the locations that are printed inside there. You can see a sample ballot. Make your plan to be there. Come out and vote. May the 5th, polls open at 8 a.m. and they close at 7 p.m.
Last word, do you find that if there is clouds or sunshine, rain or snow, but do you find there are people that still will have that passion in their heart to go to vote to somebody?
Yep. No, there are folks that are very committed to coming out and vote, and I wish everybody was that committed to show up and vote. So we really want you to come out, rain or shine. What's the latest that you can get your first vote? When I say to be able to be eligible to vote. Okay. Yeah. So when you turn 18, you need to get registered to vote. We've already passed our voter registration deadline to be eligible for this election. But if you're not registered now, you're looking forward to the August elections. It's always 30 days before Election Day is always that registration deadline. Hope you've enjoyed our program, everybody. Alex Britt, he is the administrator of the Weakley County Election Commission. And if you have a question, here's a telephone number one time, 364-5564. 364-5564, or visit our website at govoteweekly.gov. That's our program today. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Paul Tinkle, pre-recorded here on today's 30 Minutes.
You've been listening to 30 Minutes, a community affairs program on Thunderbolt Radio. You can listen to this broadcast and others anytime by visiting thunderboltradio.com and following the Thunderbolt Radio and Digital YouTube page. Thanks for listening.